comes from a company which is among the 4 biggest companies in that field in Europe. Before I met Michael Schuh, by the way, almost a Formula driver. Before I met Michael, I didn't know that there was this kind of, well, not market leader, but one of the biggest companies in surveillance camera technology in Finland. Of course, nowadays that we have all this deep learning and machine vision making big breakthroughs, it's quite clear that it's going to be also important in surveillance camera business. So I will give you the floor, Michael.
Thank you very much, Hai. Thank you for having us here. I want to talk today a bit about the business side and where we see that AI can be applied. We heard already 2 sessions ago a presentation about the pharma industry, where image analysis was used. That we know all that in the financial market, it's a very old situation to analyze stock markets and get the right parameters to make the right prediction where the market is going. Network traffic analysis, F-Secure, you know all here from Finland. They are very big. They're making more than 130 million euros every year. Not only with applying AIs, but that's where they are doing a lot of research in as well. Internet and user behavior, Google and Facebook, we know all the stories. Robotics, we have also big success stories, and gaming. But our market where ANALYSYS is in, this is called video management systems. So this is coming out of the security area and basically recording images from CCTV cameras. We don't sell cameras by ourselves, we are only doing the software for recording it. And why is this video so interesting for the AI stories? Because it is a visual thing. We use it in every day to confirm our decision with looking at a situation and saying, okay, it's the right decision to turn now left because there's a bicycle coming or whatever. And this is why it brings us much closer to the general AI, where we're all very interested in. We don't forget the audio certainly is also very important, but video is a strong story. So this is where it all started in the early days with this analog technology, very clumsy, big problems. Here again, video management system market. I will also mention some other markets later. ANALYSYS is already since about 20 years on the market, so we started very early to record digital footage to normal computer hard disks. And the problem with these operators who are watching at these screens all the time is that they are losing the focus after about 20 minutes. You know the problem when you have a lot of images running in front of your eyes, you can't focus on them. I always make this joke when I go to a hotel reception and I see that they have their 16 cameras in live view. I said, oh, somebody was jumping over the fence. And then the receptionist says certainly, oh, I didn't see it. Yeah, certainly, because you don't see anything on 16 cameras. It's impossible. And that's where we need the algorithms to make our systems better. We call what we want to use the AI for video content analysis. This is was growing in the market, so it's a bit an advanced motion detection. It's defining really objects and describing a scene in text data, what is happening in these videos. And the market growth predicted till 2022 is going to $11 billion US. So this should be really enough to keep your attention that there is money in the market. Because we all like to do research and play with the toys and the new computers, but somebody has to pay for it. And it will not work when you only write a paper and it's a very good invention you made, but it will not sell, it will not go out on the market and nobody will apply it. This is how the cameras looked at the early times, and nowadays we can print, even on a 30 centimeter wafer, about 10,000 lenses. And this technology will go forward, and probably will send also some cameras soon to Alpha Centauri, even with this new project about space traveling. And we have a problem with the amount of cameras, which is increasing every year and every day. that the amount of costs is also increasing because the amount of people needs to be higher to operate these cameras. So we need to find a solution to work against this. This is the other market I want to mention because it's coming very close to our market. It's called PSIM, Physical Security Incident Management. And these are then systems like citywide or countrywide, where you get a lot of data in showing you what happened in your sensors, and then the operator is most of the time using a video footage to confirm it. So again, he's using the images to see, is this really true that in this area was now a fire, because if the smoke detectors were raising some alarms. And another problem is then also to show this data in a way that it makes really sense, that the operator can make a good decision out of it. So that's our own science by itself, to how to illustrate the right data to the right person. Better would be if we could make this all automatic. And then there is in the security market a big fear about all these cameras. In Germany especially, there was a huge movement always against these public cameras, because everybody thought, oh, Big Brother is watching you. You know this George Orwell story. And I see the similar thing applying for the AI market actually, that the press is saying that the AIs will take our jobs away. And then there is also this book from Nick Bostrom, who was illustrating this from the philosophical side, quite negative, that the AIs could be the last invention we make. I see it a bit different, and I think it is still a good way to go forward. But according to this fear, I can tell you a secret: nobody is watching these cameras, what you see on the street. The people don't have, the operators don't have the time to watch at these cameras. So it needs to be automated. I know about security centers who are really then working with these incidents. They have maximum 2 minutes for one incident, which came in maybe by a police call, to check which is the right camera and what happened there. So nobody is watching you all the time if you see somewhere a camera. In the Arabic countries, it's the other way around. When you see more cameras, they feel more safe. So this is from the sales side a bit different. Where are we today? This is a ANALYSYS software. We are setting a lot on usability, because whenever you, by yourself, you will create a software one day and you want to sell it, the algorithm itself is a second line factor. Certainly it's a great invention, but if the software is not usable and you can't get your sales to sell this software, then you will not succeed on the market. So we are making a very good software, easy to use. We are Microsoft partners, so we are using the same concepts with the slider, so everybody who used Office can use our software. And this is a key point in the industry. What we really need is these empty control centers who can do all these things by itself, forensic predictions, prevention and reactions. Certainly we might have in some situations still an operator who wants to control that this is really a good decision to make this action. But in many situations we want also an AI who does the decisions by itself, because it's just too important to make a quick decision. This is what we call the current VCA, video content analysis. Is basically we are analyzing the stream. It's about a motion detection algorithm. There are a bit more complex options in it. But then we are applying some rules. For example, there was a virtual line drawn in the image, and then we will trigger an alarm, and that's most of the time human confirmed that the action will be delayed before the human says, okay, this is it. But simple things like putting on the light. When I'm in my garden, I have this installed, and I see there is at night a person coming in, then I put a light on automatically. That's already an automated action which can help to create higher security. This is how this algorithms work. You see here low light, they are already very good. Even these two lights, it is detecting that it has to be a car, it can't be a motorbike. And then you see here a guy running through in the darkness. which a human operator would not be able to see this. But since there is only a bit of gray and certainly the color value we read out and we see, okay, this must be an object. So in this area, it is helping already a lot. And this is a typical installation. We use the data. You see on the right side the configuration. You have different zones in the image. You need certainly the three-dimensional aspects also of the scene to know that the car in the distance is the same car like if it is close. And then you can apply certain rules that if a car is stopping on an area, you want to raise an alarm on a map. And then the operator is getting the footage automatic. Here we have our car. There is now a black, red triangle or box around it. And then the video will pop up. So this we have already, and this is working very nice, but it needs a lot of configuration. Here you see the calibration, how it works. Very important to identify the three-dimensional aspects, because by default you don't have them from any camera. And then you can apply the rules. You see also some metadata from the objects here in the image. And but in the end, you don't need them all. You only define a certain rule when this alarm should be triggered. And then you want the camera as a reference. So what is the problem? We have a cycle of learning here in all the events that happens, and that they need still too much configuration. They are difficult to calibrate. Even I showed you this green grid. This is already a very easy thing, but if you have 200 cameras, it takes you too much time to calibrate this everything. You need an algorithm which is doing this automatically. That would be the best. Fine-tuning, high processing power. You get a lot of false alarms, so it takes a lot of time to recalibrate the system and make it better, that you filter out the false alarms. So we think that AI is the future in this area and can apply some of your modules for it. This is also a very interesting situation about a problem seen in, I think this was in Mexico. One back. The customer wanted to detect on the street when a fight is breaking out. But the problem here is, are these people dancing or are they fighting? Well, here we see it very clear, so with the visual confirmation, you can confirm it. But same as if you have a person in a railway station running. If he's running to the train, then it might be a good reason he wants to catch the train. But he's running away from the train, that it might be already suspicious. So you have to add there on the situation like this a probability to say this might be an incident which is interesting for a security person. The current experience is that we have a lot of cameras and we get more and more, but the time and the costs to install them and to operate them is not there anymore. So we need to find a solution to operate these cameras in a simpler way. And we have some bottlenecks analyzed here. There is still a transition between analog and digital technology because the analog is very, very cheap and still good to use. But this is ongoing. It depends on country to country. It's a bit different. Okay, we have video problems. yeah, this is the transformer probably. Anyway, you get the idea. So then bandwidth dependent on the country as well. In UK, we have a very bad infrastructure. Here in Finland, we are very happy with the 4G network. And then storage cost is a factor. We are talking here in installations really in the petabyte area already. And that's not like a disk you buy somewhere in Giganti. That's industrial standard disks which have to run 24/7 and they are very expensive. Then the automated action I mentioned already. Data analysis reports is also very important because I might not want to have all the events even separately. I want to have sometimes only a statistic. System stability and efficiency of processes. Let's see if the next slide works better. we all heard about these face and plate detection systems. I have to say, they go in the same area, in the same video content analysis range. And the plate detection, that works already very well. And we had a big interest to get these systems to work, because when it's 25 degrees minus in our office in Piti and we want to drive in a garage, we want the garage really to open automatically, because we can't open the window anymore. So the plate detection, that works very well. But when it comes out of this range of plates, for example, container detection in harbors, there's also a plate written on it, but everybody writes the plate number in a different way. It's almost impossible to read this really with a high percent accuracy that it's the right plate number. Face detection, the same thing. I tested about already 10 systems during my time at ANALYSYS, because we want to be independent. We want to support all the algorithm providers. And there is nothing good. I got one once from Thailand that was very promising in the demo, but it seemed to work only with Thai people. With the Europeans, it took much more time to detect the faces. And also the price of the existing system for the face recognition is very, very high. We are talking about a price from 8,000 to 10,000 euros per camera, additional for the algorithm software. So there's the camera not included, there is not the recording included. This is really a lot of money what is required to make this really happen. Then there is another problem with everything what is content analysis related. In 2008, a company in USA was filing a patent. The company's name is Object Video, and they wanted to make also a video management system. They filed the patent. Nowadays, this kind of patent wouldn't be even possible to file it, because it's very, very universal. And this is blocking on the market a lot the development of the video content analysis. There were a lot of camera manufacturers. They want to provide these features in their camera that you, in the web interface, can configure. I can detect faces or whatever. But as soon as you touch this patent, you have to pay them patent rights. And there was big players like Bosch, Samsung, and Sony. They got sued by this company, and they had to pay a lot of money to use this video content analysis. So if you develop a software one day, you have to not only consider that it's a smart algorithm, you need to find business people who get it on the market. You probably need a lawyer who can make sure that you're not breaching any other patent rights. You need marketing people who are rolling this out into the world to sell the stuff. Writing a paper is unfortunately not enough. Then this is more about the internal bandwidth, so not only the network, but also the server. Do I have for my processing power a local server available, or is it only on the cloud-based? Then you need a better data traffic, and it all is much, much slower. GPU's roadmap is very important. Where is it going? Or are we going into quantum computing even for problems like this? And then the big data, I was talking about the metadata, is a big factor also to consider for all this usability of the systems. If they are not usable, complicated to install, you need to provide a lot of service, you will not be able to sell this. Storage cost is here the same. There is a transformation of the described image into metadata, so you have only text data where you describe the image. There is still a bigger challenge to accept this on the market, that you trust that when in the metadata is written, a person was walking with a green jacket from left to right, and they don't have a video for this anymore, then can they really trust this information that it's true? So preferable, they want always the video data still available over the years maybe, and that costs a lot of memory. Then the automated reactions, they certainly require also a good software where you can design these workflows to customer specific, that you can design what should happen in what cases, what factors are relevant for it, and when do you really trigger what outcome. If this is not available, the people will not accept it. If you can install it for one customer and he pays you enough that you can retire for the rest of the life, that's fine, but this is a perfect situation what doesn't happen. Alarm situation, the same thing. You have a lot of alarms, maybe from hundreds of cameras around the city, and then you need to analyze what is the right action and what is the probability that this is a real alarm and a false alarm. Data analysis reports is also a very important part. When you have many alarms, you want to know at the end of the week how many alarms did you have on the central railway station, how many did you have in Pasila, and to analyze your process and to optimize really the reaction of it. So there is other algorithms again has been used, and the design of the reports you create out of this is only as good at the moment as the designer. So if you have a person who understands the system very well, he can create one of the reports, but it doesn't mean that when you sell it to another city that they can get it as well. And then they call you again, you have to fix the system and do the work for them. So an automated reports based on AI would be also, there's something in the future to go along. Then we need more intelligence in the system. This is what we're advertising always with our software, that it has to be as easy as possible and self-triggered the actions. And this is where you can get a step on the market forward, because you know that there is from the hardware manufacturing from China is getting so cheap that there is no sense to produce the same things in Europe, because it's just much cheaper to produce there. So you have to be with the intelligence in the system a bit ahead to get a head start on the market and sell your products. System stability is another factor. When you install it on your laptop for testing, that might work for a demonstration because you have the perfect setup. But if you want to roll it out that it works on any PC in the world, then you need to provide a lot more data about from the motherboard of the PC to get this information out. These watchdogs, everybody knows the SMMP traps. So you can analyze also in large networks. Most of our problems, what we have customer support problems, is that the people don't understand the network topology and what problems it comes with it. That an image stream is a big data flow, and that you need to have a good understanding of the network and also alarms of what happens. It's all about the efficiency of the process. The more efficient the software is, the more money can the customer save in the end, and the more it can sell. And that's unfortunately in our world the driving factor, that you have to get the market to get it sold also. This is now a typical ecosystem of industries where ANALYSYS is working with. There is all kind of technology providers, hardware providers, access control, lightning, radar. So we're working with all of them, and it's not so easy to get these people really to talk with you. You can imagine when you call to Microsoft and say, I have a very good idea, I have an algorithm here that is solving a lot of problems, then they don't even answer your phone. You need an appointment first to get in, and then you need to convince them also that this is really helping them, and they might then take it over. So it always has to be a win-win situation for everybody in the economy to make some money. We are present worldwide, and that's also a challenge when you have to work with South America or with Australia in the time zones. You have to coordinate this all. So don't think it's very easy to run a company which can roll out such a big product worldwide. Has a lot of challenges. And then Finland as a base of a company is certainly still very, very attractive. Don't underestimate the value of made in Finland. You have a high reputation in the world when you produce something, but you have to bring it also out on the market. The Americans, you know, they are very active with promoting things and doing marketing. So it always needs a cooperation in all directions. So that's about it. It was a bit a side story of the AI algorithms, but I think it's also very important to understand that you need an ecosystem of business relations to get these things done if you want to go out of the research one day. And certainly we want to be idealists also and do the things to make the world a better place, but that works also only if the market accepts it. Any questions? I think the face recognition is still much too expensive. If you could get an algorithm which is where you could apply this on every camera for a very low price, and then finding afterwards a face again, this is still only CSI stories. When you see this, that they search their data and then they find this face, this is impossible. There are some face recognition systems which works quite reliable, and for access control, so they detect your face when you showed your face once. And even if you have different glasses and different hairstyle, you can use it as a light access control, like we do with the plate recognition. But really on an airport, to say you have a person which is known to be a criminal, and then in one of the 1,000 cameras to spot this person and say, that's him. This is still not possible. So I think if we could in the face recognition go further, that would help us a lot in the industry. Any other question? Good, thank you very much.